Alright, so Deadpool and Wolverine has been out for like a while now. I'm pretty sure you guys have all gotten your chance to see it. And even after this movie, we still have a ton of questions like that are some left to be unanswered, especially around this teases like Secret Wars and even with Avengers 5, which is now called Doomsday, in like a very big way, and largely that we did not expect, and how Deadpool and Wolverine are going to be sticking around in the MCU for a while since they're now Fox characters, but this was a send up. But in this video, I'm going to be breaking down how Secret Wars just set up a Deadpool and Wolverine like we never even seen before, especially with the confirmed MCU and debut of Doctor Doom and so much more. And so if you're new here, be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you miss out on any future vids. But now, let's get into it. And now, the first thing to start this off is Deadpool and Wolverine's ending. And now, even with the purpose of this movie, is that with Logan, the Wolverine that died, he was the anchored being in Deadpool's universe. And that with Paradox, the TV agent that was showing Wade the timeline that was going erupt, and then it could suddenly go into extinction to never exists. So that means that with Logan, that he is the anchored being that died, and you would Deadpool that goes that went on his mission to retrieve like a type of Wolverine, and that he grabbed the one that Paradox said that he left out his entire world, that he killed all of the X-Men in his universe as well, and that you know that we all knew Paradox was the bad guy, essentially for what he wanted the TVA, what it was going to meant to be, especially with the Time Ripper, and that was going to destroy everything like in the universe, including for Wade's. That's because we all basically knew if Wade was going to help him, or why he exactly needed Deadpool, especially with the timelines. What the TVA is, why they prune the timelines, why they prune people, that immediately send them down to the void where where Deadpool and Wolverine could have died, or how they managed to survive in the void as well. But now, even with Cassandra Nova, that was going to use herself to basically destroy everything, because she was the villain of this movie. And even with Deadpool and Wolverine in the final act of the movie, that destroyed the Time Ripper, and that caused a Paradox to be arrested by the TVA, including Hunter B-15. With their timeline, it is saved, but even within the multiverse, there's like still like unanswered questions after this movie, especially as I seen it like 2 times now, and with Wolverine and Hugh Jackman that was brought back to Marvel, and I think with Deadpool saying this, even with Marvel bringing Hugh Jackman's Wolverine out of retirement to be in this movie, it's not like it was going to be a one and done thing. No, like he's going to be sticking around in the MCU for a while after this movie, and that like we're gonna see them pop up again. But in Secret Wars, I mean, I don't know if in another Deadpool movie, but I'm pretty sure that these characters are going to pop up again in the future of the MCU, because we're in the multiverse saga now.
Disney brought him back. They're gonna make him do this till he's 90.
But the next big thing that like fans have been asking, and even like in the film where Paradox has accidentally showed Wade that Deadpool dies in a distant future, and the question is, why was Thor crying? Like, why is he crying with Deadpool dying in his arms? Because it is said like it takes place in a distant future, probably in the Secret Wars, and Deadpool must have done something that like caused him to be killed, or like mainly it's because of Doctor Doom, or I don't know, that's a possibility. Because with Doctor Doom now, he's going to be the main big threat of these next 2 Avengers films, and I'm pretty sure that answer will be somewhere down the road. And even with like Thor, like just like kind of over Deadpool's arms. And now next up is the mutant era, because even with Kevin Feige in interviews that did interviews before the film even came out, that he said that the mutant era is coming. That he did say after Deadpool and Wolverine releases, which has now been out for like a while now. He said that every film post that will mark as the mutant era for the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and we've already seen that because even though with Deadpool and Wolverine, that was like the send off to the old Fox Marvel character era of that timeline and that universe, especially at the end of the movie with the end credits scene. It literally brought back the nostalgia of the old 2000s Fox era characters like with Gambit, Blade, Elektra, and even Johnny Storm's Human Torch played by Chris Evans. And like that's like a big tease of what Kevin Feige is now setting up, because even with the mutant era, I mean that is now established now, and even with Phase 5 and 6, and with Avengers 5 and the Secret Wars, and plus the Fantastic Four are going to be in those two films. With like the next phase of what they're gonna do is it's like establish like an X-Men reboot in the MCU, and it's set up like a mutant and solo X-Men projects. The thing I do want to add is that way that Kevin Feige that has said that we're in the multiverse saga now, that anything can happen, because in the MCU, and especially in Deadpool and Wolverine, and with out of every project that we've gotten, I figured that we were going to travel the multiverse at different points in time throughout each universe, and be like a variance of different characters, possibly in like the Fox Marvel era universe as well. And even though with the next thing that I said is that they couldn't have access to so many characters, especially from the X-Men, because they didn't have the access because of Fox. But now, especially since Disney bought Fox, and now that everything's now sorted out, like it is all very possible. And even with fans that have been dying for an Avengers versus X-Men film, which is definitely possible now, because if that were to happen, I think it could possibly be before or after Secret Wars, but I'm pretty sure like that will happen like sometime, like even I think before Secret Wars, because even if you imagine how big a Secret Wars is going to be if it's split into two parts, with all of our favorite heroes coming together, and with Doctor Doom being the main threat, if Kang is not the main threat, but I'm pretty sure Doctor Doom is established to be the main threat. The next thing to talk about is with the official announcement that came from Marvel Studios' Hall H panel at Comic-Con. It was the fact that Robert Downey Jr. is making his return to the MCU as Doctor Doom, the Fantastic Four villain, the multiverse villain, is going to be the main threat of the next two Avengers films, and it's got fans worried and concerned and possibly divided on how this would work, and they're asking the question on why they would do this, or why they would bring him back, especially after Iron Man got his send-off in Avengers Endgame. But to me, I don't find this to be a bad idea, because here's why. Because even with Tony Stark that started the MCU back with the very first Iron Man, and then and the Infinity Saga with Endgame, doing the I am Iron Man snap, and to save the universe and making his sacrifice, that he saved everything. But even though that he started the MCU, he's possibly the anchor being of that universe. But since we're now in the multiverse saga now, because even with the MCU that is going into a reboot after Secret Wars, so possibly the way that Tony Stark, that could be a Doctor Doom variant. I mean, if that all makes sense, if you guys know what I'm talking about, it's because even though I don't think Marvel is undoing Iron Man's death, even with, I mean, that whole thing, it's all set in stone, and I don't want to undo that, especially after Kevin Feige has said all over again, they're not going to consider undoing what they did. But I think with bringing back RDJ as the main antagonist, Doctor Doom, for the next two Avengers films, and with Doctor Doom being the main threat, and to possibly destroy every Avenger, because even though we have a new Avengers team on the way, possibly going to be assembled, I find this to be a good thing, because even with the Russo brothers, who are confirmed to be directing those to Avengers films, and they couldn't find like any other filmmaker, like, especially with those projects in Phase 4 and 5. But even though that like all of the filmmakers that they went with, that they went through to try to get them to direct the next two Avengers films, like we're not interested in doing it, because even with the Russo brothers, that they're making their return, and even though after Endgame it was sort of the end of the road, that they're off their separate ways, but now with them returning and trying to make Secret Wars and Doomsday as big as possible, because they know about the source material, but I'm pretty sure Marvel is going to do it for a reason, for a purpose, with Tony Stark possibly becoming a Doctor Doom variant. What the last thing is that with the Secret Wars, this could possibly adapt the 2015 Jonathan Hickman run, because even with that comic storyline that is so interesting, because even from what we've seen Marvel do and with the MCU, like I think they're not planning to adapt every single thing that there is from the comics, but they are adapting like some things from the storyline, and they've been doing that with the MCU and with other Marvel Studios projects, and just with so many other stories that they have adapted with the comics. But even though with the Secret Wars that had got Emperor Doom, it had the Fantastic Four with Reed Richards, and like even though like it was like a big event, even though that with Doctor Doom, who is going to be the main threat, I mean, because I'm pretty sure like he appeared in like the comics where Tony Stark and Doctor Doom met. I think people were wondering like if Marvel is going to be doing this right with bringing in Doctor Doom played by Robert Downey Jr., but I'm guessing now which comic story are they going to be adapting from with him as the main threat, and even with the Secret Wars, that's going to be possibly split in the two parts. But I think Marvel is cooking up something big. To wrap this all up, is I think Secret Wars has been teased up so big, especially after Deadpool and Wolverine. Now that I've seen it twice now, I'm very excited for what the future of the MCU has in store, especially with the multiverse saga, the mutant saga. I mean, even with the Secret Wars, it's going to end at Phase 6 and move right into that era of all new mutants that's going to be introduced, being a reboot. And even with the MCU, that's also going into a reboot as well. But I'm thinking that they're going to be ending this saga big with the Secret Wars that we can ever imagine. They're going to make this bigger than Avengers Endgame, so we have a lot to look forward to in the future of the MCU, and so on and so forth. But that's going to do it for this video. Just let me know your thoughts in the comments below. What are your thoughts on this, and how do you think this Secret Wars is going to be so big, especially after Deadpool and Wolverine? Just let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to turn on notifications below future videos. Also follow all my social medias, all of which are linked down below, including my Patreon. And with that, I'll see y'all in the next video. Peace.